Platinum has done everything according to the book, and it's now looking very bullish.
We're setting a bit of a historic precedent here.
Was it really that event that caused the rally to go up?
The economy is going to start suffering pain.
That's going to be bonkers. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Talking Trade. Of course, Kevin Wadsworth and myself, Patrick Karim. And today, Kevin will talk to you about platinum. Everybody loves platinum. And Kevin will show you how to trade the platinum chart.
I'll do my best, Pat. Yeah, I think with gold doing what it's done over the last 12 or 18 months, I think a lot of people are now starting to look at other precious metals, silver, of course, and platinum, palladium. So we're going to take a look at the platinum chart, and we're going to look at how you can get signs and signals from the technical chart of platinum that is completely independent of any requirement to be listening to the narratives. We don't need narratives. As we often say, you could lock me and Pat in a room with no windows, preferably not the same room. We'll probably drive each other potty. But you could lock us in a room with no windows and we'd be able to look at the charts and discern what's happening with the charts, regardless of what's happening out there in the real world. The news stories do not matter. So I'm going to share my screen now and just illustrate exactly what I mean. We're looking at the platinum chart here, and I'm going to hit the play button straight away. And we're in the 1990s, the late 1990s. The price of platinum is trying to break out here. In fact, I'll put a resistance line on here. Let me just draw a nice trend line on the chart for you. There's a horizontal level here that is important, and you could probably draw some kind of down-sloping resistance line as well. Now, the reason those lines are important is because they're just above the moving averages and just above the Ichimoku cloud. We've spoken about these before. This is the monthly chart, and it's the 12 and 36-month moving average and the Ichimoku cloud on here. So from a technical evidence point of view, a bull market will occur above the moving averages, above the cloud, and above important, long-lasting, long-standing resistance lines. So in other words, what I'm trying to say to you is that a bull market will occur up here in this area here, if one should develop. Now, at this stage in the late 1990s, we have no idea if the price is going to do that or whether the price is going to come down here somewhere. We just don't know. But what we can say with confidence is that if we break out above these levels that I've just mentioned, then a bull market is highly likely. Okay, let's hit play again. Let it play out. Oh dear, the price is plummeting. Everyone's turning negative on platinum. It's the end of the world. Platinum's never going to be worth investing in. So everybody's attention is elsewhere, no doubt, because platinum is fallen from $700 to $300 over the course of a decade or so. So nobody's really looking at platinum. So as a technical analyst, we will be looking at this and keeping our eye on the chart because we know the price is, we know it's in a bear market. Okay, we know that the price has been in a long bear market. So what comes after a bear market? Of course, bull market. So what we're looking for is the birth of a new bull market. Oh, look at the price there. It's getting close. Oh, hang on. What's it doing? Oh, not quite. Oh, yep, there we go. So there we go. That is the breakout into the new bull market. Now, if you weren't quick, you'd have missed that move from $400 to $530 there. Very rapid release of energy as the price broke through that resistance level. It happened in the blink of an eye. It's now reached a zone of horizontal resistance up here, which corresponds with the price action there on the left-hand side. That's the target area. Okay, for the breakout, the target area is up here near $600, $650. So let the chart play out. Rapidly, the price has pulled back. And this is a line chart, so you get the monthly closes shown each time at the end of the month, the chart becomes fixed in its position. So there you go. You've had some monthly closes now up in the target area. So anywhere up in this target area would be a good place to start thinking about taking profits if you are quick enough and nimble enough to get in at those lower levels. So what we're now looking for, because the target's been reached, is a breakdown into a bear market. And of course, we've got a very major sort of break there from $600 as it fell below the 12-month moving average and begins to consolidate again. So the price action has to play out. You have to be patient. You have to let that whole sequence of lower highs and lower lows play out until we start to break out into into a new clear bull market. So let's just let the early 2000s play out and see if the price action continues upwards, or whether it starts to break down back below the Ichimoku cloud there, which it hasn't done yet. So that was in 2001. There was a big pullback there, but it did stay above the Ichimoku cloud. You would probably have exited your trade as it started to break down here. You could well have re-entered the trade. Price got back above the moving averages here. And you can see the price is accelerating way, way up. And it's above the 12-month moving average. We've got a measured move on our hands here. This move here, let me just illustrate it for you, sort of broke out and moved up here. You've got that sort of breakout and a measured move there. And that also equates to this breakout measured move here. So these equivalent moves, they're only very approximate, but they're often a very good guide as to where you might start to think about, the price consolidating again. You might start to think about taking profits. That's just one of many different techniques that traders use for estimating price targets. And perhaps one of the more important ones is how far stretched you are from the moving average. You can see the price got very stretched here from the moving average, and it started to correct back towards the 12-period moving average. It broke out again. And if I just pause the chart for a moment, you can see this breakout here that took place was another opportunity there to get in for a possible repetition of that measured move. Let's just see what happened. And it's way exceeded, and then it's pulled back. And let's see what happens here. So you're probably going to be out of a trade here. And again, if you're long as an investor, you'd be investing down here when the price broke out originally, and you'd be watching things like the platinum to gold ratio, the platinum to silver ratio. You'd be assessing the whole time whether platinum is still looking bullish from a long-term perspective, whether it's above the 3-year moving average, for example, and whether the 12-period moving average is above the 36-period moving average. So as time goes on, the bull market continues. Long-term investors or stackers, whether it's gold, silver, or platinum, and we're off the top of the chart here, so I'll have to do that. Long-term investors or stackers will just get in at the breakout, the initial breakout from the bear market, and they will use a variety of techniques to decide when to take profits at the end of the bull run. Now, that is a very clear and decisive breakdown there. And if you zoomed in on a weekly time frame, you'd be able to discern the breakout at the top here below key weekly moving averages. So if you're trading on using the weekly chart, you'd have been out before it crossed the 12-month moving average there. So we're into 2009 now. Price starting to recover, starting to get above both moving averages, above the Ichimoku cloud again. So we're back in a bullish environment here. The price is consolidating and beginning to accelerate again above the moving averages and above the Ichimoku cloud. But that was a lower high that was just put in there. So that's a little bit of a warning. And the price is now struggling to distance itself from the moving averages and from the Ichimoku cloud. So whilst we're still in a bullish environment, you've got to be a little bit cautious here because we're struggling to make a higher high. That was a huge drawdown in 2008. And the price is now looking like it's putting in a lower high and clearly not as impulsive and not as violently moving upwards as it was previously. If the price at any point falls below the 3-year moving average and the Ichimoku cloud, as it has done just now, that's where you begin to turn more sort of significantly, well, bearish really. I was going to say neutral, but you'd be quite bearish here because the price is clearly struggling to break out from the moving averages and break out above the Ichimoku cloud. And at this point now, you would start to sort of put perhaps a support line on there and say to yourself, well, if it's below the moving averages, below the Ichimoku cloud, there's not really much point being invested in platinum at this point because it's not outperforming other things. There'll be other things like the stock market, for example, that would be starting to outperform platinum. Tech stocks would be starting to outperform platinum. There'll be a whole variety of things that are outperforming platinum since it's been going sideways or down for a couple of years. You could start to convince yourself that the price is going to break to the upside. But there's an example here of not wanting to jump in too early with platinum because We don't know yet whether the price is going to break out, whether that's a real wedge pattern that it's going to break out from. Is it a bullish wedge? We just don't know. It's below the moving averages now. It's below the Ichimoku cloud, and it's showing further signs of breaking down. So, there's nothing bullish about that chart, and that's a perfect sort of back test there taking place of the breakdown. So you can use technical analysis and you can deduce things from the chart as it plays out over time, and you can make a series of judgments and a series of decisions based on all I'm showing here is the moving averages in the Ichimoku cloud and a couple of support and resistance lines. But of course, there are other technical indicators and other techniques, including things like platinum versus gold, that will tell you, if there's any point at all in being involved in the platinum market, in the platinum trade. And clearly, there isn't at this point. You're in a confirmed bearish environment below the moving averages, below the Ichimoku cloud, building out some kind of base from which to break out from in the future. But reminding ourselves about how this all started. It started because we broke out of this base above the moving averages and above the Ichimoku cloud. So let's move forwards in time and have our eye on the Ichimoku cloud and the moving averages and possible resistance lines. Let me just put in a horizontal resistance level that I think is starting to look quite important now, and that's around about here. Because that line that I've just put in, it's a little bit above, it's above the moving averages, it's above the Ichimoku cloud now, and if price were to break through this downtrending resistance line and then later on break above this solid red horizontal line, that would tell us that we're starting to move into what could be a period of several years of a very strong bullish market for platinum. And let's just see what happens. We're approaching 2020 here, and the price is trying to break out. And you can see that it's interacting with the moving averages, and it's broken out above the declining resistance line there and then back down below. So that's an indication that you have to take more than one piece of evidence into account. Okay, it moved above the moving averages, it moved above where we had that resistance line, but it didn't get above the Ichimoku cloud. So this is why horizontal breakout levels are more important than sloping ones. Sloping ones can often kind of let you down a little bit, or if you get the line slightly in the wrong place, and then with hindsight you sort of realize, the line should be there. But now here we are into 2021, and we've got something a bit more meaningful going on. The price is really starting to get itself above the moving averages, above the Ichimoku cloud, and it looks like it's coming back to back test and consolidate that breakout that we had above the declining red resistance line. Price is now reacting positively by bouncing off the moving averages. The Ichimoku cloud is acting as support. So rather than being trapped underneath all of those levels, we're starting to see some support develop from those levels. We're moving into 2023 now, and that's a really nice back test of the breakout. You can see the price has come back and it's put in a lovely back test of that line, and it's also touched the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. What's happening now is that the price is starting to confirm that it wants to move in a bullish direction. It's back above the moving averages. Let's see how it plays out in 2024. Still some sideways consolidation. Remembering all the time that horizontal line is more important. We're in a sort of decision zone here, this zone between the sloping line and the horizontal line. So if you got in early on the breakout there, you would be sort of a bit frustrated, I think, because you've spent a couple of years, 3 years, trapped in that trade or trapped in that investment with the price going nowhere. And there's gold at this stage, gold is outperforming platinum enormously. Gold is going up by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100% over this time frame, whilst platinum is just consolidating. And then as we start to move into 2025, look what's happened, and that's where we are now. So platinum has done everything according to the book, and it's now looking very bullish for moving forwards into a prolonged multi-year bull market. And that's how you use technical analysis to get some long-term signals from your charts.
What a journey. What a chart journey. Very mesmerizing, guys. Hope you enjoy it. Make sure to subscribe and like to get more great content like this.